Hi, good evening, and welcome back to Cooking with Chief Tony. This week's segment, we're going to go ahead and do one of my favorites. It's a Latino tradition, and with the weather being as it is right now in many parts of the world, we're going to be making sopa with fideo. And it is one of my favorites growing up as a kid, and probably something that I got more into more recently. So as we continue to start this evening, I want to thank again everybody. Thank you to all the chiefs out there. I look forward to seeing some of you in Riverside. And so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the ingredients that we're working with tonight. Is going to be a very simple, very easy thing to make. And I'm going to show you our ingredients. Again, tonight is sopa with fideo. And so this is just some of the ingredients. I literally got home a little bit ago, so this is something quick, something that's easy to make. We've got our shell noodles in the back. We've got 1 can of tomato sauce. We've got 1 onion that we're going to use. We've got some cheese. I got some water. I got 2 cups of water, some salt, some pepper, and some oil to fry the noodles. And that's, folks, that's pretty much all we're going to need tonight. So let's go ahead and wash our hands and let's dig in here and get ready. I hope everybody's doing good tonight. Like I said, it's a little chilly around the world. So I hope that everybody's doing good, staying warm. I know I worked today, so it wasn't that bad outside today, but it's been raining here in Vegas. So hopefully everywhere that you are today and throughout the week, it's going to be nice and warm, hopefully, or if not, you're staying warm. So anyway, okay, let's go ahead and get our apron and we'll get started. So I'm going to go ahead and cut our onion here in just a moment. I'm not going to dice it, I'm just going to slice it. And I'm going to go ahead and take off the skin. Hi Amy, how you doing? Hi Theo, how are you? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to position this way. Hopefully you can see that. So I just cut off the ends first. And I just slide that off. And I'm just going to rip this off. And then I always slice mine in half first. And then I just peel it off. So, all right, let's see. All right. No, Theo, I'm not wearing it tonight. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and slice it like this. You can dice it if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and slice it because I like onions in mine, in my sopa. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in one. Hey Pop, how's it going? Seems like I'm getting messages from all over the place, not just on Facebook, but on the phone as well. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue to slice this up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this over here. Alright, so let's go ahead and, again, this is what we got going on over here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my skillet here, and I'm going to put it on a medium heat. And I'm going to go ahead and use one of my regular serving spoons, because I'm actually going to go ahead and not use a whole lot of oil here. So here, let's do this. So So there's 1, 2, and 3. Onion tears. All right. So what I have here is I put in 3 spoonfuls of oil, of avocado oil. And I'm just going to let that heat up for just a little bit. Now, I have a whole box of shell noodles. I'm not going to use all of those. I'm just going to use about half because I'm not going to make a whole lot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just open this up. And Amy, I wasn't ignoring your question. To be honest, I don't know, and I'm going to find out right now. So we've got sodium, we got 380 milligrams. So I only brought the salt out just so that way you can see that you can add salt to it. For those that don't know, that I've had some health concerns lately, so I'm not going to be using a whole lot of salt in a lot of my stuff. So this is going to be to your taste and your taste only. So this has just enough salt in that alone, probably to last me. So just to give you a heads up, Chief has had some health concerns lately, and it's, you know, I just have to watch myself, just like we all do. We all need to watch ourselves, eat healthy and stuff like that. So make sure you're getting a well-balanced diet. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and take my wooden spoon and I'm just going to test the oil. Now you'll know when your oil is ready when it starts to bubble, when your wooden spoon starts to bubble like that. So it looks like we're good here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add some of our onions here. I'm just going to add them like this. I'm actually going to turn this down because you don't want your onions to cook too quickly, just like you don't want your noodles to cook too quickly. Now I've cut up 1 medium-sized onion already, and I'm just going to let this kind of sizzle a little bit. And again, you don't want it to cook too fast or too high. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take part of my shell noodles. I'm just going to put these in here. And yes, I'm putting them in here raw. So as you can see, that's just a little over half left in the box. This will be fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook these and I'm going to let them brown. So I'm letting it brown all the way through. I know, Tío Mario, I know how you feel, and Dad's making fun of you, so he's making fun of us both. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add more of my onions. Again, I used 1 medium onion. I love onions. And so I'm just going to let that heat up and cook, because you want these to brown. And for those that are just joining me, I'm making sopa with fideo, which is soup with noodles, if that's what you want, how you want to translate it. Everybody makes this dish a little differently. So how I'm going to make this is I make this a little bit thicker. So my mom used to make this for me when I was growing up, and it was and it holds a lot of memories. You know, a lot of good memories, I'll say. And so it probably wasn't until recently that I begged her for the recipe, and it's so funny how simple it is. But it is tomato sauce and water and these onions and cheese and everything else, and it's really, really good, and it has a lot of flavor. So, hi Melissa, thank you so much. So again, I'm just letting this cook, and I did not prepare ahead of time, just because A, I worked today, and 2, I had other things going on. I had to go to the grocery store and everything else, and so all you hard-working people out there can definitely sympathize or empathize with me in this scenario. So anyway, I am just browning my noodles and I'm cooking my onions, and the aroma already is smelling phenomenal. Okay, so we started at 6 o'clock and it's already 6:08, which I'm surprised. And we've already got a nice brown on here. So this is definitely one of our quicker segments. But you don't want to let it sit for too long. But as you can see, and I'll kind of zoom in a little bit, you'll start seeing the noodles get a little brown. And that is what you want. You want a nice color. You don't want it burned, but you want it nice and browned. So as for those that didn't see, I put in 3 serving spoons of avocado oil, and my tia Caro is on. Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? All right, so I'm just going to continue to mix this around. You want to just kind of stir it around a little bit. You don't want to let it sit for too long, because if you do, you'll start burning. But you can start seeing the color from all of the oil on these noodles. Now it's going to go ahead, and these noodles will still cook. For those that are afraid, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're cooking the noodles and they don't have any water in there. That's exactly what we want. We want to go ahead and brown the noodles, which is going to give us color, and then we're going to go ahead and add all of our stuff in just a moment. So while this is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and multitask here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our tomato sauce. Now, for those that missed it earlier, yeah, Chief Tony does have a couple of health concerns going on right now that limits salt. That's totally fine. This tomato sauce has just enough salt in there to keep it interesting. And you're going to add pepper. Some people add garlic, and you can add garlic to this if you want. I'm not going to today, but that is definitely one thing that you can do. That's not my mom's recipe, and I'm following mom's recipe to the T today. So, all right, so I've opened up my tomato sauce, and we've got our shells still browning just a little bit. And we're getting that nice, beautiful color in there. And you can add, I'm going to go ahead and continue to add more onions as we go along. And part of the reason is because when onions start to cook, they shrivel and they get smaller and everything else. And I love onions. I love fresh onions. Some people don't. You don't have to make it with fresh onions. You don't have to make it with onions at all. This is just how my mom made it and how I've always eaten it growing up. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to stir this. And like I said, I'm stirring it because I want it to brown, but I don't want it to burn. And as you can see, it's browning very well. And I love my little Dutch oven. I use it for practically everything. And for those that have been following me for a while know that I bake my bread in here. I do my soups in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this down just a little bit, because now we've got the right color. We've got the right texture that we're going for. And now you're going to hear a whole bunch of sizzling sounds, which is perfectly fine and normal. And I'm going to go ahead and pour, now I have 2 cups of water here, but I'm not going to use all of it. I'm just going to go above the noodles. So you can see me adding the water, and I'm going to get just above the noodles. Okay, so that, depending upon what angle you're looking at, that's just above the noodles. So now I'm going to go ahead and stir this around. I'm going to go ahead and let that simmer for just a moment. I'm going to go ahead, because we just got some cold water in there. It might help if you have warmer water. I'm just going to go ahead and let that sit for just a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and take just a little bit of this water and I'm crazy. I like to make sure I get everything. I'm one of those people. I don't like to waste money. I don't like to waste food. I don't like to waste, ingredients and stuff like that. So I am just going to swish this around to try and get as much as I can out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer for just a few moments. Meanwhile, while I let that simmer, I'm going to go ahead and put in some of my peppers. So I'm going to set you down, and we're going to go ahead and look at some pepper. So I use McCormick's pure black pepper. If you like fresher pepper, you can definitely do that with the... So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle this just around. And if you can't hear that, it's definitely sizzling, and that's exactly what you want. So come back around here. So you can hear the sizzle and the boil going on over here. Now tonight is just sopa with fideo. So nothing majorly special, but this is, to me, this is special because this is basically tomato soup with noodles. And I'm just going to go ahead and let that simmer. So, since we have a few moments, I would like to ask from my family, from my friends, from my fellow chiefs, my fellow co-workers, everybody who's on here, people that I know, people that I don't know, what is it that you guys want to see in the future while we see this beautiful pot cooking? What is it that you want to see the chief make next? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to let that bubble just like that. And we're going to, and you'll know when the sopa is finished, when the noodles are big and soft. Chicken enchiladas. Okay, I can do that. So we got chicken enchiladas. Okay. What else? What else? What else does anybody want to see? Because I am more than willing, and I will tell you this. If I don't know how to make it, I will look it up and I will figure out a way to make it myself. How about that? So we got one vote for chicken enchiladas. Pizza, okay. Pop, you know that's not going to be a hard one. For those that don't know, Gabriel Juarez is my dad. And so I think we just love food in our family. But pizza is definitely one of them. So, okay, so we got homemade hamburgers, okay, or handmade hamburgers, okay. So, you haven't seen my hamburgers yet, I don't think, Pop. Okay, so let's take a look. So we got some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coloring mixture going on. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit more water. I'm just going to keep stirring the pot. Ha 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 ha. For those that know what's been going on in life lately, stirring the pot seems to be the appropriate word. Okay, so we've got this amazing sopa with fideo that's going on. Turkey dishes, since I don't eat beef or pork. All right, so that's good input. Thank you, Melissa. So I will definitely, because I have an awesome recipe for turkey burgers, and it has some homemade mushrooms or home cooked mushrooms and apples and stuff like that. So you brought up a good idea, Pop and Melissa. Thank you for that. Okay, all right, Christina, I will see what I can do. I've never made that before, so that'll be something that I have to look into and try out. So for my vegan friends, this is probably going to be one of my most favorite dishes. Excuse me. When it comes to no meat products or anything like that. Go ahead and stir this around. So I remember growing up, my mom making this for my brothers and sisters and I. We would beg for sopa with fideo because it's so easy to make, and it was just something that when Mom made it, it just tasted so good, especially during the wintertime. So for those that don't know, we've had snow in Vegas the last few days up on the mountains, which causes great cold winds and stuff like that. And so I have been needing to make some soup, and I've made some soups on here in the past, but you know, some soups you can only have for so much and for so long. And sometimes you just need to go back to the basics. So that is our sopa with fideo. We're just going to go ahead and let it cook for just a few more minutes as the noodles continue to get bigger. This is, again, one of my easier dishes to make. It's something that you can just whip together real quick. It doesn't take a whole lot. It only takes one pot, you know, and, you know, it's just a family favorite, especially in my family. I think my nieces and nephews love it. They beg my stepmom, Mama Rosie, to make it, and a lot. And I know that my other nieces and nephews, they ask their parents to make it. So I know that it's a staple in my family. I don't get it very often unless if I make it, because again, everybody makes it a little differently. But this is my family, so we like it a little bit thicker than most people. Some people like it really, really, really soupy. So you can have it really soupy and watery, and or you can have it a little bit thicker, like my family makes it. And ooh, makes a good zucchini. I'll have to check that out. See, I love having this because I get to share my family's recipe. So my family is your family, my house is your house, and you know, if anybody finds themselves here in Vegas on a Saturday night, you never know you're always welcome at my table. You never know what you're going to get until you get to the table. So anyway, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we've got our noodles still cooking. They're boiling over here. As you can tell, some of the sauce is still a little bit thick, but it's gone down a little bit. And it's because the noodles are starting to soak this up. And they're not big noodles at all. They're the medium shells. So as we let it cook, I'm just going to add just a little bit more water in here. Just add the rest of this. And that wasn't very much. I'm just going to continue to stir it and let it cook. Now, so I brought the cheese out here just so that way you could see. So I use Colby Monterey Jack cheese. I love it on top of my sopa, which makes it just as creamy and still thick, but it's stringy and cheesy, and oh, it's amazing. As you can see, our noodles are getting bigger, so they're almost done. Well, I guess, Theo, you better get on Mom and make sure that she makes it for you. Or you may have to just make a trip out here to Vegas and I'll do it. Look at that. So I'm just going to let that simmer. Now you can either add the cheese in before or you can add it in per plate. I always add it in as it's cooking just to give it a little extra, but more towards the end when the noodles are finished cooking. So, and the only way to test it, if it's done, and that's to taste it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it just a few more moments, and then we're going to try our nice sopa. Yes, Christina, I do. And I was looking at the recipe today, and I thought, oh man, I need to make homemade tortillas. So I am going to try and attempt again. So for those that don't know, Chief Tony has wonderful ideas when it comes to cooking, and for the most part I do well on great many things, but there are two things. Biscuits, I've perfected my gravy, but biscuits and tortillas I have not been able to master, and it just takes time, I know, but who's got that kind of time? Okay, so let's see. Just a little bit longer. Max, you should come over. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. This is what our sopa looks like. It is literally almost finished. The noodles are soft, which means they're almost done. And as you can see, it's thinned out. It's still a little thick, but it's definitely gone down just a little bit. So this is our sopa with fideo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put our cheese on here now. So I'm just going to go ahead and set you down there. I would love that, Christina. I would love that. I hope Jen is doing okay. So for those that don't know, Miss Christina and her daughter and I went to high school together. Jen and I were thick as thieves when we were in high school. We went to our senior prom together. Boy, the stories we could tell you. So I'm just going to go, and I'll go ahead and turn you around here. So I'm just going to go ahead. Penne noodles will work. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir this in like that. I put a ton of cheese in here because I love cheese. You don't have to. But this is how I grew up eating it. This is how I love it. So it's almost like a tomato sauce with noodles and cheese. But I love it. And it is such a staple. Now, you don't have to put as much cheese in there as I did. I did put quite a bit of cheese, but that's, again, how I love it. And that's how I'm going to eat it. But it's got that soupy noodle with cheese. Who doesn't love cheesy goodness like that? I mean, that's just like heaven. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour me a bowl. And again, some families make it very soupy. I grew up with it being a little thicker and with cheese. I can remember my brothers and sisters and I sitting at the table, and we would sit there and we couldn't wait until my mom finished. we would be there ready, waiting at the table for some sopa. So there it is. My sopa with fideo. This cheesy goodness. And again, it's very simple, very easy. I didn't put any salt in it, guys, because, you know, I can't have a whole lot of salt. But this is just enough. It's been watered down. And I'm going to go ahead and take a bite. Never ceases to amaze me. Thanks, Mom. All right, guys. Well, that's Sopa with Fideo. Thank you for coming out and seeing the segment with Cooking with Chief Tony. Please go on to our YouTube, subscribe, like, hit the like button, share it. Please, please, please. Thank you again for all your love, support, and everything else. Be safe out there. Wear a mask. Be healthy, be safe, be happy, but most of all, be blessed. All right, guys. See you again next week on Cooking with Chief Tony. Bye-bye.